How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, do me a huge favor, go down and subscribe and leave a like on this video while you're there. Today we're going to be talking about manual versus automatic. I feel like I've had this discussion before, but I did it in a YouTube short. Might as well go take the Mustang out for a little drive. It's been sitting in the garage for a few days, get some gas because this thing is completely out, and talk about pros and cons of manual versus automatic, what you should get in just any car, and when you would want to get an automatic and when you would want to get a manual transmission. Let's get the Mustang started, do a little cold startup, and take it out on this fantastic afternoon in Wisconsin. It's pretty cold outside, actually. Mustang cold startup. Always fantastic, but let's get this car out. This thing's always out of gas, but I've been daily driving it for like a week now, and it's been yelling at me for the last few days that it is out of gas, so I might as well go fill it up today. But my Mustang, for those who do not know, I'm driving over ice right now and the car's going everywhere, but for those who do not know, if you cannot see, my Mustang is a 6-speed manual car. I have 3 manual transmission cars and 2 automatic cars. For the majority of cars that I have bought, I have chosen to go with manual transmissions. Not for any particular reason other than just pure enjoyment. Now, pros and cons of manual transmission cars versus automatic cars. I feel like people kind of blow this conversation a little out of the water, and I feel like it's a conversation or an argument that we shouldn't really be having, to be honest with you. Every once in a while I get to talk to an older person, you know, they say something about my car and we have a little chat at a gas station, at a store, whatever. And anytime they ask me, most people ask, is it a manual? Or like, it better be a manual, I hope it's not an automatic. And I look at them like, yeah, my car is a manual transmission, but the automatics are absolutely fantastic and they're way faster than the manuals could ever be. And I would say 7 times out of 10, they're like, are the manuals like really that slow compared to modern day automatics, whatever. Like, most of the time they're really surprised at how like fast the automatics have gotten. And that hasn't been the case for a long period of time. If you're looking to buy a car from early 2000s or older, the automatics are garbage in those cars. If you're looking for an enthusiast car to enjoy your drive, to feel connected to the car, to go as fast as possible, maybe a performance car of some aspect, a sports car, and you're looking from over 15 years ago, I would say, honestly, any car you're trying to buy, the manual is going to be far superior. Even cars like in 2012, like the Aventador platform, those early Aventadors are very, very sloppy, and they didn't have a manual, but if they did, the manual would have been much more precise, easier to drive in traffic. It would have handled itself a lot better. Even cars like the earlier generation Toyota 86, BRZ, FRS, when the FRS still existed, those cars were faster 0 to 60 around tracks, whatever the case was, in their manual cars, not the automatics, because the automatics still hadn't been updated, they still weren't the newest things. Nowadays, we live in a world with PDKs, DCTs, you know, the dual clutch transmissions that shift in the blink of an eye. If you're not driving a performance car or something that you enjoy driving and you're looking for a daily driver, it doesn't really make sense to me why someone who's not an enthusiast or someone who doesn't really care about their car all too much or care about driving manual would buy a manual. Absolutely nothing against buying an automatic. The majority of people buying cars nowadays are looking at automatics, which is kind of sad, but it's ease of access. I'm gonna fill this thing up and we'll get right back to where I left off. Startup is pretty brutal. One point I'll bring up, right, for ease of access, Europeans always make fun of Americans because Americans don't drive manual cars. Now, the majority of Americans don't know how to drive manual cars. Another point I like to bring up is ease of access. Why would the greater majority of people who are not car enthusiasts, who are going to their 9 to 5, who are driving in traffic, why would those people buy manual cars? And I know there's a lot of people who, especially from out of the United States, think manual or nothing, even if they're not enthusiasts, or the enthusiasts think that Americans just don't know how to drive. But the reason we don't know how to drive the manual cars is because automatics have always been favored here. And the reason is ease of access. manual is just it's an extra step. No one in traffic is wanting to drive a manual car. It sucks to drive manual in traffic. So why would people in America or even around the world drive non-automatics? For the most part, the manual cars ended up being cheaper. In Europe, they have different regulations and whatnot, so manual never got thrown out per se, even though I think nowadays they're starting to lean towards automatics. The only time I would say manual or nothing would be if your car's older, right? Because the older cars, automatic transmissions suck. Like an automatic first generation Miata. Why would anyone want to buy one of those? Sure, it's easier, you know, maybe they don't know how to drive manual, but the automatic transmissions suck. They're sloppy, they're slow at shifting, all of these things. When the manual, you can get the input yourself. It's a sports car. It's meant to be engaging to drive. A car like this, even though all of those things still exist, it's still a sports car. It's still engaging to drive with a manual transmission, and it connects you to the car more. The automatics are still very, very much still faster. And I don't think it should be an argument anymore whether it's manual versus automatic. It should just be whatever you're wanting to do with the car and however you're wanting to enjoy the car. And I think that's a huge part of it. I think how you want to enjoy it. You know, if you're buying a Mustang, but you're living in Los Angeles, California, and you're gonna end up driving that Mustang in traffic for a lot of the time, you know, you bought a Mustang because you still enjoy the cars, but your daily commute is on the highway, and it's at bumper-to-bumper traffic, and you're like, why would I get a manual? It makes complete sense not to get a manual. I will still stand by the fact behind manual that we should still offer manual cars. We should still offer these sports cars in manual transmissions. But also, I'll stand behind the facts that no older car should be bought, no older enthusiast car, I should say, should be bought without a manual transmission. But like I said, it's no longer an argument. No one should look down on the other person because they bought a newer sports car without a manual transmission. I mean, if you're buying a Porsche GT3, or I should say if I'm buying like a new Porsche GT3 and it's not a GT3 RS, man, I would get the manual, but there's something about that PDK that's basically magic, and it definitely makes sense both ways. That's all I had for this video, just a quick one. I just needed to go fill my car up, and I thought I'd make a video on this because I saw like recently a bunch of people talking about this. I might have made a video similar to this in the past. I believe I've made a short like this in the past, but that's kind of where I stand. I think that's kind of where everyone should stand. But that's all I have for this video. Make sure you guys go down and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any further videos, and I will see you guys in the next video.